Hello everybody, my name's Jigglypants, and today we're back in my redstone testing world, and we're taking a look at this monstrosity. This is the next iteration of my auto crafting system. It's an auto crafting system with the goal of having one crafter be able to craft any recipe, and I think I've made some significant progress with it, so I'm just gonna take you guys through that today and hopefully explain how it works. Before we get started though, I'm just going to preface this with I'm not going to be talking about the actual crafting system here. I showed that off in my previous video, and if you want some more details about that, I highly recommend going to check out that video. I'm mostly just going to be talking about this upper portion here today on how we actually get the proper items into the proper locations and everything. So I'm just going to go around and I'm going to show you some of the sub-processes that are within the main system there. It's a little bit easier just to look at them when they're on their own compared to when they're in that big jumbled mess. So where we left off last episode was we needed to feed specific items into specific slots and then have the rest of the slots filled with snowballs so they can then be fed down into the crafting system and it'll do its thing. So I've created this system which is kind of like a toggleable item filter for certain slots with a bit of a memory cell out the back here. So just to demonstrate that, let's say we wanted redstone dust to go into this first column here. We would flip this lever, which in turn unpowers that torch there, which allows this hopper minecart to pick up items. And then if we just throw redstone dust into the system, we'll then begin to suck the redstone dust through these hoppers, but it'll get locked in that hopper there just because of this torch. This isn't much of an issue because shortly after the redstone gets put into the system, this will then get toggled back off. But if you heard that piston retract, over here we have a bit of some magic going on with these copper bulbs, basically as a T flip-flop, to retract this first piston here. That's important for later on. And then same with, let's say we want to put sticks now into the system, we can go over, flip that one, throw our sticks into the system, and they should make their way, once this is shut off, into this barrel here. So now we have our redstone dust here in the first barrel and our sticks in the fourth barrel, but for this system to work, to be able to actually craft, we need all the empty slots in the crafting recipe to be filled with a filler item. And that filler item is going to be snowballs in our case. So snowballs stack to 16, so we need a way of dispensing exactly 16 snowballs into the system. So that's where this little thing comes into play. It's essentially just a comparator pulse extender with observers observing the redstone dust. So as this gets powered, it starts off with this block being powered at a power of 15, this one at 14, this one at 13. And then it slowly decays, and on each decay, the observer observes that decay, and it will pulse this dropper one time, which is full of redstone dust in this case. Then our hopper has nothing. So if I click that, we will reliably get 16 items every single time. Just like that. Neat little trick. You can also do it with, set it up to just do 8 items at a time. Just kind of nifty. So we have this system here built just up in here, and it's connected up into our memory cell kind of system here. So what's going to happen is this clock is going to get powered here. It's basically just an etho hopper clock set vertically, and every time this block, this redstone block gets moved over, it'll power this piston, it'll extend, and we will get a pulse out of the system. For a short time, it'll shut this redstone line off, which is powering these hoppers, and it will incrementally move this item, the snowball that's in here, one hopper at a time. When it does that, it'll do two things. When it increments from this hopper to this hopper, it will turn on this comparator here, which will shut off this redstone torch, allowing items to flow into this first column here. But we don't want that to happen because we already have our redstone dust in there. We don't want redstone dust and snowballs. We want just one or the other. We want either a crafting item or we want snowballs. So this memory cell got activated when we first put the redstone dust in there. So it drops down this block here. So when this comparator gets powered, it will not be able to power this repeater, in turn powering this rising edge circuit here. But when the snowball increments to the next hopper here, for example, it will unlock this hopper minecart to allow items to flow in, and it will also power through this block, powering this rising edge circuit. It'll go up and it will trigger our snowball dispensing system. So I'm just going to show that here real quick, just by turning on this clock. So as you can see, the snowballs incremented over into this hopper, and nothing happens, which is what we want. And then when the snowball increments over, it fires this system here. Oops, I missed a piece of glass here. Yeah, I gotta make sure the snowballs don't shoot out the top. But yes, it'll increment over again, and the snowballs go and they flow into the respective barrels. Now we're on this one where we don't want any snowballs, and it doesn't look like we're gonna get any. And then when it increments over again, we get snowballs in this one here. And it'll do this until all of them are finished up. So the system's now just doing the last one here, and I'll be able to go through and show you our final product, our final output from this system. So we have a redstone dust in the first one, snowballs, snowballs, our sticks, snowballs, snowballs, and then snowballs all the way down into the end here. So with all of our items in the correct orientation, it's what our crafting system likes to receive as a crafting recipe. But if you saw, I still have to manually select where the items flow into and then manually put the items into the system. And that's not what we want. We want this system to automatically figure that all out itself. So to get it to select basically where we want the items to go, or the crafting recipe items to go, we use this system here, which is basically a redstone decoder. I'll just give you guys kind of the side profile of this because it's tileable, super easy to build, and it basically just takes in a comparator value, and it will be able to select one of these torches. And in these shulker boxes here, I have them set with different values of items. So if I select, for example, let's do 6 here, and I throw 6 into the system, we will get an output on the 6th torch here. And then on the same sense, if we do shulker 1, we should get an output on the first torch. So basically I've taken this system here and I've kind of slapped it on the bottom here so it's able to select where each item needs to go. Because the system is basically going to have a minecart that flows in, and it's going to have a shulker box in it, and it's going to have the items in it. So first it's going to drop off its shulker box so it knows where those items are going, and then it's going to drop off the items so that they flow into the system, and then after that it's going to go and it's going to retrieve its shulker box back, and it's going to wait. So now here I have just a couple more smaller, simpler things that I use. I kind of sprinkle throughout or in certain scenarios within the system. So I'm just going to take you guys through this. This is basically a hopper timed pulse extender. So if I click this button, this redstone torch turns on, and it turns on longer than when the button is pressed, and then after a set amount of time it will shut off. Right now I have it just set on 16 because the snowballs need to move from one side to the other, so it's on for the length of time that it takes 16 items to flow through a hopper, essentially. And then over here I have a similar system. As you can see, this is just basically copied over into here minus the button and the output. But this is a hopper clock that can be set to a variable amount of time and will give a set number of outputs. So the way it works is, as this ticks across, it will pulse this observer. It will move one item from this dropper into this hopper here, and when this dropper is finished, it will turn on this redstone torch, basically shutting this system off here. So we just clean this out. I have it set to do 10, so if I just press this button and I turn this on, we can see that observer's pulsed twice. We get 2 snowballs here, and we get an output of 2 up here as well. This system is used for when we need to pulse this hopper line. We need to pulse it 10 times, and then after the 10th one we need it to stop, so I just kind of modified an etho hopper clock again to give me that desired output. One issue is when the system's done, it does need to reset itself. This torch needs to be shut off so that the items can flow back into the respective dropper, but I basically just pull a signal, so when the system's not running, this torch is always off, so it's always resetting, and then when the system turns on, this torch gets lit. So now that this is finished, we can see in this dropper we have no items as expected. We have 10 in that one, but we get an output of 10 as well. And the neat thing about this is it's a variable time, so I have it set to 16 snowballs here, but I could set this to 2 snowballs if I wanted to. It'll pulse every time 2 snowballs go over, giving us a higher frequency of output. And then moving on here, the system here, I kind of already showed off. It's just like a rising edge push button. A rising edge push button is basically, it takes a button pulse and it shortens it. But the neat thing about this kind of system is it can also take a lever and turn it into a button output. So that's pretty neat. And then again, moving on here, I have just a minecart storage system. So it can hold up to 9 minecarts. You can extend this as long as you need. You can shorten it as much as you want. But essentially, when a minecart goes in, it'll turn down this track, hit this detector rail, turn on this copper bulb, flipping the track so the next minecart flows into the next station, and so on and so on. So just throw another one in. It should pass the first 2, go into the third, and then this one should pass the first 3 and go into the fourth. Pretty simple, nothing too crazy. And then just with the help of some delay between each one, we can remove the minecarts in order that they went in. So now that we've gotten some of the redstone sub-processes out of the way, I'm going to try and take you guys through how the actual main system works, how all these sub-processes kind of flow together. And I want you guys to look out for some of these, and hopefully you can kind of stick along for the ride and not get too bored with my redstone rambling here. But essentially, we need to input a shulker box to where our item's going, and then that item itself. So if we were to do something like redstone torches, we need our shulker box to deliver it to the 9th space, because I kind of built this backwards. So we need it to go to the 9th space here. So we put the green shulker box, which represents our 9th, and then we fill it with the item that we want. So we push this button, minecart takes off that way first. I don't know why, it just does. And then it comes back and it will deposit the shulker box, and it will go through and it will select where that item needs to go. So that item is being fed into the system, into the first one, and then when it's done dropping off all those items, this minecart should go back down, and it will go and it will pick up its original shulker box, and it'll get stored here in slot 1. So now if we move on and we do the sticks for the redstone torches, we need to skip 2, and we need to add sticks into there, and then we push this button. Again, minecart goes the wrong direction, but it fixes itself, and then it'll go through and drop off the sticks. And I'll just give you guys a bit of a display of when it comes back down. It's going to come down this track, and it's going to bump into this block, drop down, and go and pick up its shulker box out of this chest. There, it's finished putting sticks in, shulker box gets broken, and then it gets stored here. So now if we check our crafting recipe so far, we have our redstone dust in the right spot and our sticks getting funneled into the correct location there. So that's kind of phase 1 of getting the crafting recipe items into where they need to go. And now we're going to move on to phase 2, which is filling it with snowballs. So we're going to push this button, which is going to turn on that system right over there where it pulses, and it incrementally moves the snowball down along and fires to put snowballs into the correct locations. So we check these out. Now we're getting our snowballs in. So when that snowball gets incremented down this line and it finally passes this hopper, it'll go into this dropper here, and then it'll just reset itself, getting ready for the next craft. But it will also go into this pulse extender, which unlocks, it's set to 33 items, just a little bit of a buffer there, and it will unlock these repeaters here, which unlock these hoppers, which allow all of our items to flow down into the system there. As you can see, it's powering and it's sucking out all the items down into the system, and then when it ticks back on, this torch also turns on, which just gives us a pulse to then begin the crafting of the item. So if we look down into here, it is now crafting our redstone torches. And one thing we kind of missed over here is our hopper minecarts got kicked out of the system. So the whole reason we're storing them is basically for a reset process. We need to reset these memory cells of these blocks going up and down. but to reset them, we need to basically give it its same input again. So those hopper minecarts get stored in these, and then when the system's done, well, not when the system's done. When the system's done filling, it pulses these, and with a bunch of redstone tick delay, basically that's what all these repeaters are for, it sequentially releases them back into the system where they follow this minecart track, and then they go up here, they drop off their shulker box, they go over this detector rail, which then breaks the shulker box again, because we just need to pulse the system basically very quickly. And then with a little bit of delay on the minecart track with this water, the hopper minecart makes its way down, around, back underneath this double chest, and then gets kicked out here, where we have the shulker boxes back into the original minecarts. And essentially this system will just loop back around into here and put the correct hopper minecart in the correct spot. So while that's finishing up crafting the torches, I'm just going to take you guys through and show you guys all the stuff that still kind of needs to be figured out and brain noodled, I guess. Here, this little circuit here detects on switching this minecart track right there. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Switching that minecart track there, essentially, this needs to switch between the recipe items going in and the filler items going in. So between that process, we need that to switch. So I just have it hooked up to this big long line that essentially gets pulsed once the crafting system starts. This line also starts the pulse for clearing the memory cells where it releases the minecarts there. So I have it just on a copper bulb here to switch this. But between each craft, we need it to be set back. So I think basically we just need to pull a signal from when this is done crafting to switch that back. So that shouldn't be too hard. Up here, we need to work on getting these hopper minecarts back into their correct locations. But I'm not sold on the way I have this set up just yet, because I still need to get the items into the correct location, and it's basically a fancy way of just extending our original problem. So we need to somehow have a way for these hopper minecarts to, yes, be set with their correct shulker box, but then somehow go through a system that fills the correct hopper minecarts with the correct item, go search for that item in our storage system somewhere, and then return back here. So this whole input and output of the hopper minecarts needs to be sorted out a little bit, but that's going to be our next project. Also, we need the system to know once one of these hopper minecarts is gone, dropped off its shulker box, dropped off its items, gone, and sat in its holding space, we need it to then pulse the next hopper minecart with items in it to leave the station. So I might do something where when the minecart enters the holding cell, it will send a pulse out onto a line. It will sequentially try to push the next minecart out of the station. But the issue I have with that is I need to somehow figure out how to detect which minecarts have shulkers and items in it and which minecarts have just shulkers in it, because I don't want to be trying to feed the system no items, because that's kind of a waste of time. And this system's already very slow. But I want the system to basically have a set amount of things it can craft, and then have our storage system be, I don't know, somewhere over there. I'm just kind of pointing a direction here, but basically this system will be like, hey, I can craft oak stairs, and then it'll ask the storage system, do you have oak stairs? If the storage system has oak stairs, then it'll go and it'll be like, okay, I can craft oak slabs. Do you have oak slabs? And if the storage system says, no, I don't have oak slabs, this system will make oak slabs and then deliver it to the storage system. And then it'll move on. Hey, do you have oak planks, or do you have spruce stairs, or whatever? So this is going to be kind of like an overtime system to refill your storage system with crafted items. So as you're out, I don't know, mining or building or doing whatever you do, hanging out with friends, this will be back at your base, slowly and incrementally refilling your storage system. And this could definitely just be copied and pasted, I don't know, as many times as you want, maybe 3, 5, 100, whatever you want. And it could be constantly asking your storage system what items it has and what items it's running out of to keep those supplies restocked up. So that's the kind of direction I see this project going in. It's not like a on-demand, I need repeaters right now, craft me 16 repeaters as fast as possible. No, that's extremely difficult to do with the way I have this set up. It just takes too much time. So yeah, obviously the system's not perfect, nothing's perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how I've gotten it working. Like, I probably could have done something a little bit more fancy with slowing down the minecart here, but why make it more complicated than it needs to be? Just throw some water in there and slow the minecart down a bit. So just some little things like that, but overall I'm happy with this. So this video is getting a little bit long here, and I think it's about a good time to wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave it a like, and if you have any suggestions on some things I can maybe do a little differently, or different directions I can maybe take this project in, make sure you leave a comment. And if you're interested in seeing how this project pans out for the long term, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.